it's begun. Get the photos in. Yeah, so Michelle will be telling us about the rise of the...
Carry on, don't be distracted by me. It's fine.
Very distracting. Yes, small steps you can take to increase your reach. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you all for staying with me. It is very late in the day and I was tempted to stop for a little nap myself. Luckily, I picked up with the coffee cart. I want to stress that we should thank all our sponsors because we couldn't keep the conference at $50 if it weren't for them. So if any of you work for companies that have buckets full of water, no, not water, money, money, then do keep in mind there are always tremendous technical events that you could be sponsoring in this town. Okay, so my name is Michelle Sanford. I am a TEDx speaker, a tech girl superhero, the chairman of the Australian Computer Society in WA, and I am the #1 social seller for Microsoft in the world. Yes, that is when you cheer. So we have this new sort of subtitling thing going on in Test, and I had been practicing with that yesterday, and I'd encouraged all the other speakers to use it. However, I took that back yesterday because everything I said, it gave me dirty, dirty subtitles. And so when I said I was the #1 social seller in the world, it said I was the #1 sexual seller in the world. And it said something, well, I'll tell you when I get to that slide, but it was all very embarrassing, and I thought, I can't be having this on the internet, it's bad enough. Anyway, on your phones, if you have the LinkedIn app and you click on the little networking icon, you should see a sort of barcodey, no, not a barcodey thing, forget the barcode. Just in the little networking thing, there's a Find Nearby icon. If you would click on that now, then you would see everyone in the room that also clicked on that icon, and you would be able to connect to all of those people right now. It will not stay on forever, so you can't continue to stalk people throughout the rest of their lives. But you could connect to the people that are like-minded people to you if you turn that on now. Or you can use the barcode scanner thing, which is also within the networking part, to connect to me. Just want to remind you all about Speaker Pose Bingo, which is what I was just doing there. In that it's quite fun if you take pictures of speakers in their various poses and then tweet them. And I do have a bag full of prizes that I don't want to take home with me today. And so far, it's pretty much Stephen Price that's going to be getting the prize. Okay. So this was the other slide that gave me a embarrassing subtitle because somehow it said that I loved Lars Klint and that I was going to smother him in his sleep. That was what the subtitles came up as. I don't want to say anything like that about Lars. What I was going to say was, a couple of years ago, Lars did the lock note for DDDPerth. And I was so moved by it. It was a really personal lock note. Was anyone here for that? Yeah, it was a really, really personal lock note. And I just thought, how is this going to go over with a room full of developers who surely all they are interested in is the code? And no, everyone in the room just opened up and just shared stuff themselves. And so it was really great. What his lock note was about, though, was thinking about what you want to do with your life, where you want to be in 5 years' time, and, you know, the kind of job that you want to have. And he had looked at his life and he said, you know what, if I won the lottery, what I would do is go and live on my farm, raise an army of robots, play with HoloLens, and just tour the world. And it occurred to him that, in fact, he didn't need to win the lottery to do that. He could just do that right now. And there are things that you can do in order to enable the kind of life that you want. And so he just started doing it. And as I was listening to him give this luck note, I thought, that is so true. I could do that too. The hashtag is Be Like Lars, if you want to follow the life that Lars lives. And so that's what this is kind of about, how you can set yourself up, how you can position yourself in the market to do whatever you want to do without too much extra effort from your day job. So when you are trying to choose what you want to do with your life, you have a couple of ways that you can position yourself for that. Either you want to do what Lars does, which is just tour the world and talk to people and do training courses and pretty much, set his own hours, or you could maybe work for a company within industry, and there are certain companies that might look more appealing to you than others. But the only way to really position yourself for those is to set your profile up right. Let the market see who you are without you having to put any extra justification into it. So, there are a lot of free tools that you can use to do that. LinkedIn is obviously just part of it. Any of you that are following me on social media know that I use Twitter an awful lot, especially at conferences and events as well. If you're wondering how I'm number one on the Twitter board today, that is automation. We are in technology, so, you don't have to do everything manually. What I've done here is, I was reading before I went to NDC Oslo a book by Uncle Bob Martin called Clean Code. Has anyone read that book? So if you have not read Clean Code, I would heartily recommend you read it. It's a really good book, and he lays out these principles, and he essentially says, you want your code to be really clear. You want it to be self-explanatory. You want people to look at your code and just know what it's meant to do without any kerfuffle around it. So it is with your LinkedIn profile. It should be absolutely 100% clear who you are from that profile, so that you don't have to go into an interview and defend yourself, or you don't have to meet people and say, hey, this is all the awesome that I am. They should already know that in advance. They should know it from what they can see of you, from what you're putting out there on the internet. So I've put a few examples here. So the first one, that's Williams. So the biggest problem that I have with Williams is that blue default banner. That is fine. That is the banner that comes with every LinkedIn profile. And if you want to look exactly the same as everyone else on the internet, then it's absolutely fine to just leave that as plain. However, if you would like to catch someone's eye, then you could put something else in there. Now you could, some people put a nice sort of landscape picture in there. That's eye-catching, that's beautiful, but it doesn't do anything to link credibility to your brand. And it doesn't tell anything to tell people who you are visually. So what Jonathan's done there, that's the third one. He has a chalkboard which is filled with technical symbols. What that says, just from that image, is that he is a teacher and he teaches technical stuff. So, I mean, he's not a teacher, he's an architect and stuff like that, but you can, from that image, have the impression that the way he shares his information is by teaching, and what he teaches is technical. His profile picture is a picture of him speaking at a conference. So that also lends credibility to his brand write-off and says, here is an expert in his field. What I like about Antes, which is the second one, is that is a picture of the Redmond campus. And in case people didn't recognize the Redmond campus, she's put a little logo in there that says Microsoft. What that says is, this is Antoinette Jago, and she is backed by the might of Microsoft. She has credibility at her back because of that image. What Rob has done is what most of us speakers have done for this conference, and he has put, I am a speaker at DDDPerth. A lot of the big conferences these days are putting stuff up like that, giving them to their speakers so that they can spread the brand of the conference, but it also, it lifts the credibility of the conference, and it also lifts the credibility of the speaker. and it links their credibility together. What else is interesting is that this is the difference between using LinkedIn and using a CV. A CV, when it hits the desk of a recruiter, where am I? Oh, there they are. There are recruiters amongst us. When a CV hits the desk of a recruiter, 200 of them hit that desk at the same time. They're all black and white, all Times New Roman. They all have experience, they all have qualifications. What is the differentiator there? What is it that makes your profile stand out from others? On LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to do that. So in Rob's there, you can see just under his elevator pitch, he has 3 images there. Those are videos of him speaking at other conferences. So if you have something which demonstrates your expertise, maybe it's you giving a presentation, maybe it's an article you've written on a website, maybe it's even just a photo of you at another event, you can put those things in, demonstrating what you have done, what you can do, where you have been, who you have spoken for, that kind of thing. And you can pretty much, like your whole profile, you can attach stuff, link stuff, you can add stuff, so that someone reading your profile would be able to tell very well who you are and what you are expert in just by looking at that. The thing that I really loved most and from the start is the recommendations, because recommendations are essentially references in a blockchain. What I mean by that is you can click on the person that has given the recommendation and see who has recommended them. You can then click on who has recommended them and see who has recommended them. And you can follow that chain until you are fully reassured that this person is real, that this reference is real, and that these people have really worked in all of these different places. Because there are absolutely false profiles on the internet, no doubt about it. But here, you can check, you can check, you can check. Which is way better than when I moved here to Australia. If they wanted to contact one of my references, they would have needed to ring Belgium. They would have needed to ring someone either out of hours Australian time or out of hours Belgium time and speak to someone on the end of a foreign phone number in a language which is not their first language. But what? How could they check that? You know, hello, is this the president of IBM? Oh, it's Michelle. I mean, yes, it is the president of IBM. Yes, Michelle's wonderful. You know, the phone call, even the email, these things are easily faked these days. But the recommendations, I have more than 50 of those on my profile now. And those are from people I have worked for, people I've worked with, people who were clients of mine, customers, people that were vendors, people that were partners, people that were colleagues, and people that are friends. And by the time you read through all of those recommendations, you have a very clear idea of who I am and what it's like to work with me, which is essentially what people are looking for when they are trying to decide whether you are the person they want to give the job to. What you are like to work with and whether you would fit into their team. Now, people seeing me on social media will often be asking themselves how many hours a day I am on there, because surely it must be a lot. You only need to spend 15 minutes a day in order to be #1 in the world. And all you need to do is walking from your car to your office, or while you're on the train, or sometimes when I'm walking from my office up the road to other customers, I will be scrolling through my LinkedIn or my Twitter, and I will just be liking a few things, commenting on a few things, and I will make one post in the day. When I say commenting on a few things, you want to comment specifically on posts that will link you to a field that you are working in or a field that you're interested in. So I did a whole month where I did nothing but share posts around DevOps. And that's because I was learning about DevOps, and what I learnt, I shared. At the end of that month, Redify then asked me to come and speak at a customer presentation with them on DevOps. Because you have linked your name to the expertise of the topic that you were talking about. And they don't think that I am as expert as the people that wrote those articles. They just know that I understand the story around it because I have been sharing those articles, and they know exactly how much I know because I've openly shared it. Oh, the thing about the one post a day though, so the one post that is yours, in every day there is something that happens to you that you learn or that you see and you think, wow, or you think this is good, this is interesting. That one thing, take a picture of that one thing and just share a paragraph saying what happened to you or why that was good or what that was. Because that is the thing that engages interest. People are not so interested in you just sharing Microsoft or AWS or any other article. They are interested in what is your personal spin on what? On what you have learnt, on what you have seen, on what you have done. You have to put some of that. You have to put some of yourself out there and be authentic. Otherwise, it's not interesting to people. Now, the interesting thing about being the #1 social seller in the world for Microsoft is not just that we are living here in Perth, the most isolated city in the world, and that we are a tiny little city on the edge of the world. The most interesting thing about that is that I'm not super famous. I mean, in Perth, obviously, we all know each other, don't we? We're all friends here. But to the rest of the world, who are we? We are nothing, right? But social media knocks down those walls and it takes away the distance between us. And it also means that we are all part of something greater than ourselves. So when I became #1 for Microsoft in Australia, I had 2,000 followers. And I asked the guy who was the #1 in the world. The #1 person in the world for Microsoft was called Fabio. He's Italian, you might guess. And Fabio had 20,000 followers. And I just thought, well, I have 2,000, he has 20,000. I'm not going to be able to be #1 in the world. I should just be happy with being #1 in Australia. However, I looked at what Fabio was doing, the liking, the commenting, the sharing, the posting, and I just thought that's not so hard. I could do that. I could easily do that. And I started doing that, exactly what he was doing, and I became #1 in the world. Now, during that time, I reached 4,000 followers, so that took me a year to reach 4,000 followers, and Fabio reached 55,000 followers. But I am #1 in the world, not Fabio. The reason being, it's not about me. It is about the power of my network. It is what you, my friends, bring to me. And what you all bring to me is your networks. And so it might be that there is someone in this room, possibly Donna, that has a massive network. Maybe one of you has 1 million followers and I don't know about that. Because when that person engages with me and engages with my posts hit their network as well. And so my name spreads not just through my network, but through the networks of all the people that are engaging with me. And so when you like someone's posts, you are helping them, not just helping yourself. And when you comment, you are helping them because you are sharing to your streams as well. But both of you rise together. That's the beauty of LinkedIn. So this was, first of all, when people start using social media, they're a little bit afraid to put themselves out there, and they think, I don't have anything to say, I don't have anything that is smart enough or interesting enough or serious enough or credible enough or whatever. So that's where you start, by taking the content that has already been professionally written by someone like Microsoft or Redify or RAC or whoever it is, and you share that thing. But you don't just share that thing, you say what it was that you liked about the thing. So, I'm sharing this PowerShell article because it taught me that there are only 3 things I need to know about PowerShell. Just putting that personal spin over the top of it will change your engagement on that post. So if you would just share it with no comment at all, you will get about 20 views. If you share it with 3 lines over the top about what you found interesting or what you learnt, then you will get several hundred views. If you wrote the post yourself about how you had gone to a Redify event and learnt all about DevOps from Rob and me, and you tagged us, you named us, and you named Redify, you would get several thousand views. And it's not for the views. It's not because we want to be popular. That's not what it's about. It's about putting your name and linking your name to the credibility of the field that you wish to be known for, and putting that in people's line of sight, so that when they are thinking, we need someone, we need a DevOps engineer, who do we know that knows DevOps? Well, Michelle's name's always coming up there, maybe we should ask her. And either they're asking me, do I want the job? Or they're asking me, do I know someone who wants the job? Depending on what it is that I've been putting out there. But I am the person they're coming to because I have linked my name to that field of expertise. Can you tell what this is a picture of? This is a picture of me taking a picture of Jason holding his baby. So I was inspired by, did anyone see Teresa Watts's presentation? Yeah? Yeah, so since I have seen Teresa's thing, not today, obviously I've seen her teach another day, I just want to draw everything. So this is an example of things that you do that you just take a picture of and you type about and then you just move on with your day. So as I was coming into Microsoft one morning, I saw Jason standing in reception holding his baby and on the phone. And I just took a picture of him like that beneath the Microsoft sign, went into the office, posted that on LinkedIn and said, hey, I think it's really great that at Microsoft we can bring our babies to work if we need to, and just work however we want to. And that post got 37,000 views. The reason it got so many views is because he was frowning in that photo. So he wasn't standing there posing with his beautiful baby beneath the Microsoft sign. He was standing there really working, and he was frowning because he was actually on the phone to a customer and he's trying to answer their problem whilst holding a baby. That's real life. And that's real life happening, and it's insight into what it's like to work at your company, which people always want to see what is it like to work at another company, and they want it to look real. And that was real. There was only one snarky comment that I got on that post, and some guy said, I don't think that's really a good work-life balance. He should have been able to just take the day off and take care of his baby. Which is interesting. But I just said, hey, if he wanted to take the day off and spend the day with his baby, he could do that. That's up to him. If he wants to work from home with his baby, he could do that. That's up to him. But if he wants to bring his baby in and do his job anyway, because he can, because it is a pretty quiet baby, she never cries, then he can totally do that. And, that's true. That's the world we live in. That is the kind of workplace that we live in. And that's what's interesting to people. So, just what you see, what you do, where you go, that's what people want to know about. The other one that was really popular was when I went to Redmond. There's a bunch of tree houses there that are meeting rooms. And people love tree houses. The idea that you could abandon your office and sit in a tree and work there all day, that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So yeah, those are the things. So 38K for Jason and his baby, 5K for the tree houses. 19K I got for, I spoke at a Google conference and I forgot to take a picture of myself at the Google conference, which would have been better. And so I literally just took a picture of myself at my desk when I got back and said, I forgot to take the picture. Nobody cares. That's not what's interesting. What is interesting is that you're telling the story about who you are, where you went, what you did, and what it was like. That is interesting to people. And the other one, 13.5K, that was when Satya gave every single employee in the company a copy of his book, and they were all annotated. Is that the right word? Yeah, with all these little scribblings and notes that he had made just for us. So, if you want to be a leader, you have to have followers. So, when I first started stalking Fabio to see what he was doing so well, I saw he was it's not just that he had 20,000 followers, it's that he was the head of the services and consulting business in Italy. So he's the head of a whole division, and he's writing all of these articles for CIOs on CIO thought leadership. And I just thought, wow, imagine each of us has the power to influence all of the CIOs, all of the technical leadership within our town by using a tool like this, by just writing down our ideas, and those people will read them. And of course, they won't necessarily read them if that's not your target audience. So maybe you like to write deep technical stuff, in which case your target audience is developers, and then hopefully it's developers that are reading your stuff, or people that want to become developers. But it could be that you want to put yourself up there as someone who is a thought leader for digital, or for transformation, or for CIOs, or whatever. And so those articles that you write, those set the tone for your profile. And, you know, liking and commenting on other similar articles also establish you as that person. So maybe you aren't that person today, but the more of the articles that you write, the more that you learn, the more that you do it, you will become that person by the time someone wants to recruit you into their business for being that person. Or, in that case, like Lars, maybe you don't want to work for anyone's business, maybe you just want to do it for yourself. Maybe Lars is not a good example anymore. Maybe like Troy Hunt. I say that because Lars has taken a job for a cloud guru. Yes. Yeah, but you know, it should be your choice. If you position yourself well, then you can choose who you want to work for, and they should be coming to you, because it should be so obvious. The good thing is when you first start writing articles and you're worried that maybe if you write an article, people are going to think it's stupid, it's not good enough, it's not worthy, or whatever. The good thing is when you write your first article, the only person that's going to be reading that is your mum. Or your wife, or your husband, maybe. Actually, I don't think my husband reads my articles. So, yeah. If you don't have a lot of followers, then no one's going to be seeing your stuff and no one's going to be reading it. And so you can write it, you can edit it. If someone comes to you and writes a comment on there saying, this is really stupid, you didn't talk about such and such, you can edit that article. You can talk about such and such if you want to. And then you can say, hey, I've changed it, what do you think now? And give them a chance to like it. If they're still a dick about it, then you can just delete that comment as well. So there's literally no risk. I set myself a target to sort of write, you know, one per week when I had no articles, and I would think about what was the thing that I'd kind of discussed with people during the week. It tends to be that there's something that's on people's minds. You have a conversation with someone, and then later in the week you say, oh, hey, I was just talking about that with such and such. What do you think? And then you say, hey, did you have any thoughts on this? I was just talking about it with this guy earlier. And as you sort of iterate on that conversation over the week, by the time you've come to the end of the week, you've got an interesting topic to talk about. You've got something that you've learned, you've iterated on, and you really like. And you can sort of write that down, and that should only take you like 15, 20 minutes. I mean, you know, just like spew it out. Don't think too hard. If you think too hard, then, well, a colleague of mine has an article in draft, and it's been in draft for 1.5 years now. Don't do that. Just do it, publish, get it out there, and write another one next week, and then another one, because then you can learn what it is you care about, and you can build that expertise. So I've written a load of articles on building a LinkedIn profile. So, you know, build a better LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn 101, LinkedIn 202. I've written ones about getting jobs, about careers. I've written ones about getting rejected, because no matter how great you are, no matter what, if you put yourself out there, you will be rejected. People love my articles about rejection, because it turns out I'm not the only one being kicked down. People all get rejected, and so if you can share something that you have learnt from a time that you failed, that's useful to people. I should say that during this presentation, I am tweeting out extra links to extra content, and also some of the slides and stuff like that. So if you're following on Twitter, you should see those extra things coming out as well. Do you know what this is? Does anyone recognise what this is meant to be? Harry Potter's bus. It has a lightning bolt to remind me to talk about the electric superhighway that travels all the way up the west coast of Australia. And, well, what else would it be in WA that we have that's magic? The autonomous buses, yes. So it wasn't actually that far off when you said Harry Potter, because it is a magic bus. So this is the RAC magic bus, or autonomous bus, as I believe people formally call it. I do call it the magic bus all the time. The reason I mention the RAC magic bus is because RAC are one of the companies that uses LinkedIn really well. And if you follow them as a company, you will see that everything they post links them to innovation, links them to community, links them to good things. Actually, now Bankwest also do it. Bankwest also do it really well. A lot of stuff around community and around bringing up tech innovation and stuff like that. So if you have a company, or you yourself have a company page, then that's the kind of stuff that it's really easy to do. Post stuff that your company does well for the community or around innovation, and then you can empower your employees to advocate on your behalf. So it's easy for me to share stuff about RAC or about Bankwest, because the stuff that they share is stuff that I would like to be associated with. That innovation, that helping the community, magic, obviously. And then, you know, if it's easy for your employees to share, then all of that. There are some companies that do not encourage their employees to post anything on social media about their company. They will say, you know, it needs to go before the lawyers and stuff like that. This is a whole new world that we are in now, and if you're in one of those companies, I feel bad for you. Because you can't have any fun with it, and your company could be benefiting from the enthusiasm that you have for your marvelous company. So, I realise that I totally don't know what time I'm supposed to finish. What time am I supposed to finish?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay, cool. So, how many of you would consider yourselves an introvert? I would think that probably the ones that are super introverts, though, didn't raise their hands at all. And so, yeah, I find myself very anxious at tech conferences, less so at this one because we all know each other and we're all friends here. But normally, I get very anxious inside the idea that there is a whole room of people and you need to make friends, you need to network, otherwise you're kind of wasting half of your money at a conference if you haven't done that. Just really distracted then because you just look like someone that, that mentors me in the US. So I invented these games to try and help me when I went to conferences. What I would do is before I go to the conference, I would take out a load of pictures from the run sheet of the speakers that I want to meet when I am there, and then I would put them in a collage, and then I would say, I'm really excited to go to NDC Sydney because I can't wait to see the sessions of these speakers. And then I would tag them all in, maybe tag their companies as well, put that nice photo up, and then wait a little bit. Then they would generally, because they are tagged in there, they would see it, so then they would like the post. Then I would send them all connection requests saying, hey, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at NDC Sydney. I hope we can connect. They will all accept your connection request because you have spruiked their session, and so therefore it's a form of social currency. You have done something for them. They want to thank you for it. They don't want to be in your debt. Nobody wants to be in anyone's debt. So they accept it, and then in fact they want to now do something more for you so that you become in their debt. And so they'll say, hey, yeah, let's get a beer or let's get a coffee. And so when you get to the conference, instead of having to queue up to speak to the speaker, you in fact have already met them beforehand or after for a drink. You're already mates. And then if you keep in contact with them over Twitter during the year, maybe just occasionally responding to one of their tweets or spruiking one of their sessions, by the time you see them next year at the conference, you really are best mates, because social media accelerates the connection that you make. So you only need to make that one physical connection, and then the second time you're good. Whereas in real life, if you met someone once and then you had nothing to tie you to them, in the whole year in between you saw them at the conference again, they probably wouldn't remember you. So it's an accelerant. So I do it all the time. I literally do it for every single conference because it not just helps me make friends with all the other speakers, but I can also see what attendees are coming sometimes as well, because they will comment on the post saying, yeah, I'm going to that conference too, I can't wait, or can we meet up? And it means that I don't have to search people out and make friends with them. People search for me and make friends with me, which is much less upsetting when you are shy. That's a hint, by the way. You should come and talk to me so that I don't have to talk to people. Give people a reason to accept your connection or to connect to you, and they generally will. So a lot of people say to me, I only accept connections from people that I know. Now, there is really no point in using LinkedIn like that. You may as well just be walking up and down the terrace, shaking hands with people and handing out your business card, old school, because then it means that your network can only ever be people you know, and you will never receive an offer to work at a company that you don't work at because you don't have any connections there. So, in order to open up your opportunities to the whole wide world, you need to reach out and you need to make connections at those companies you want to work at, or at places in the world that you want to work in, or with people who have a similar career to the one that you want, so that you can get that inspiration, that advice, and have those connections. If you give them a reason to connect to you, they absolutely will. So all you have to say is, hey, looking forward to seeing your session at NDC Sydney. Donna's got 2. Or, hey, I really liked meeting you the other night at that event, or hey, I would really like to work for Microsoft one day. I wonder if I could just connect to you for, advice. But try not to make it too cumbersome. Just, make it easy for them to say yes. If you think that posting a lot of stuff on social media makes you look big-headed, especially if the aim was to raise your profile so that you could attract a better job or better offers or whatever, then think of those other examples that I gave you, I'm generally raising other people up in those posts, and I'm hitching my credibility to them. So in those ones where I have the picture of all of the speakers, I am spruiking their sessions, not me, but incidentally, my credibility is linked to theirs because I have spruiked them. And so therefore we rise together, we all rise together. That is the point, that you don't have to stand there and say, hey, look at me. You can say, hey, look at us. When I became the chairman of the ACS, I didn't put a picture of me saying, hey, I'm the chairman. I put a picture of me surrounded by my entire branch executive committee and said, hey, this is my new branch executive committee. These are all the people that have been elected to serve the Australian Computer Society's membership in the year ahead. Because, you know, it's easier to talk about other people and to raise other people up than to talk about yourself. Then you don't have to feel embarrassed or shy. You can talk about your team around you, and you will all rise together. So the story that I normally start with, and I thought I would finish with here, is the one that made it really obvious to me what the value was here. So I had gone to a big gala dinner for WAITA. It's the WA IT Tech Awards that runs every year. I was super, super conscious that as the vice chair, as I was then of the ACS, and someone that worked for Microsoft, I needed to really work that room. There were, I don't know, 500-600 people there. And they're all like, you know, a lot of high up executive people. And I was really anxious, really nervous. So I arrived about an hour early so that I could stand on the sidelines and just sort of scope out the room and look at the people as they were coming in. And I would see who would probably not eat me if I went and approached them. So I saw someone I knew talking to someone I didn't know and thought, this will be fine, this will be a soft entry. So I went over and said, hey, Pat, hi. And he said, hey, Michelle, do you know blah, blah? He is the CTO of the Department of Big Government Things. And I just immediately started really panicking there because I was like, oh my God, the first one in, and it's someone really important in government that I didn't have physical access to meet. It's really important that I make a good impression. I have about 20 seconds now to say something significant to him so that he will not forget me. And all I really want to say is excuse me so that I can run away to the bathroom and sob. However, as I was contemplating all of these options that I had in my head, he leaned in and he said, hey, you're Michelle Sanford. I follow you on LinkedIn. I love your articles. And I was just so relieved because I didn't need to prove anything to this guy. I didn't have to say anything impressive. He already knew who I was. He already knew what I thought. I had established credibility from a distance. I had been able to access all areas of the business, and I was actually influencing by volume because that article had been read by thousands of people, just like this guy. And so we were able to skip over the awkwardness of that introductory period where we're both trying to prove who has the biggest dick. And go straight to the bit where we're just, you know, having a laugh and having a joke. And I had such a good time at that event because of that guy and the realization that social media, that tools are the answer for all of us in technology today. I think I'm done.